My name is Sal Salas. This is my group project on Chapter 4, Working with Features. Chapter 4 was broken up into 5 separate tutorials, and this is what we will go over. Tutorial 4.1, Creating New Features. This tutorial is pretty basic, and we're not going to go too in-depth in it, but it's kind of the things that I'm assuming everybody already knows. It's basic organization of the table of contents, how to group layers, how to rename layers, how to set bookmarks, set the map extents, and then it kind of dabbles in creating new features and using the context menu tools. So by the end of 4.1, the result is you have a rail line that's been proposed to cut through the center of a city, but the main focus was a table of contents and setting those group layers and organizing everything so that when you start an edit session, everything is running nice and smoothly. Tutorial 4.2, using context menu creation tools. The focus and objective of this tutorial is setting your snap environments, setting selectable layers, using basic construction tools, and once again creating new features and using context menu tools. So how do you set your selectable layers? Well, on the table of contents, simply select the list by selection button, and it'll then change your table of contents, and you can easily toggle which layers are to be selectable and which are not to be selectable. This is extremely valuable when you're starting an edit session and you have a multitude of layers that are visible, and just be able to work with all those and just be able to select what you want when you want can really help you out. And setting the snap environment is pretty straightforward. The basic snap on the snap toolbar are point, endpoint, vertex, and edge. And briefly going over those, points pretty self-explanatory. It snaps to points and vertices. Endpoints will snap to endpoints of line segments. Vertex will snap to vertices where segments and line polygon segments intersect. And edge will snap to the perimeter of line work and polygons. Now the trace tool, this is where we start creating that proposed right-of-way that's going to go around that proposed rail line. You want to start an edit session, and that's going to prompt you to choose a geodatabase. You want to choose a geodatabase that's going to hold the features that you're going to be actually editing. And once you have those selected, choose the Create Features and select the proposed right-of-way, and under Construction Tools, you want to make sure you're selecting the Line tool. Now from the Editor toolbar, select the Trace tool, and in the data frame, click anywhere, right-click, and a context menu will come up, and you want to use a Trace option. And in that Trace dialog, this is where we'll set our offset. We want our right-of-way to be offset 27 meters on either side of this railway. So choose 27 meters and uncheck Limit to Length, and then press OK. Now using your snaps, you want to snap to the endpoint of the rail line and trace it using the edge snap all the way to the other end. You will notice that the proposed right-of-way is going to be offsetted 27 meters to the south. And once you get to the most eastern end, you will trace it all the way back to the point of beginning, and it'll create the right-of-way to 27 meters to the north. Using the similar construction tools, you'll use a trace tool, line perpendicular, copy parallel tool, the fillet tool, as well as a couple others, and you will create the boundary of a proposed parking lot that needs to be paved. Moving on to tutorial 4.3, exploring different creation tools. The learning objective is once again using the basic tools we use in 4.2, but this time we're going to be working with polygons. Luckily for us, all the nice editing and creation tools that you use when creating line work is also available when creating polygon features. So by right-clicking a layer and going to the properties and going to the symbology tab, we can set our unique values. We can set the symbology of the color of what our bus shelter, parking lot, and station should look like. And after we've created those using the same tools as we use for line work, we can create our polygons for our station, bus shelter, and parking lot. We can select all of them and open up the attributes from the editor toolbar. And by setting the description field to station, parking lot, or bus shelter, we can make our symbology show up in those polygon features. Tutorial 4.4, using coordinate geometry. The main learning objectives are focused on setting up the COGO environment in ArcCatalog, understanding basic survey data, and creating new features from that COGO data. So in ArcCatalog, you want to go to the main menu and go to Customize and Customize Mode, and go down to Geodatabase Tools. And from those commands, you want to drag the Create COGO fields and put that on your main toolbar. Once you have that on your toolbar, now just browse in ArcCatalog to whatever geodatabase you feel like. Choose a data set and choose a feature class, and click Create New COGO Fields button, and it'll create the necessary fields that COGO will need to store all that survey data. Things like direction, distance, delta, radius, tangent, arc length. It'll use those to store that information. Now, closing ArcCatalog and going to ArcMap, we're going to use the Traverse tool off the COGO toolbar and follow some basic steps. The first step is you're going to need to create a starting point, a point of beginning, and you can manually enter in those coordinates, or you can screen pick it from your data frame. After that, you want to choose a method of which you want to traverse by. This tutorial is going to use direction, distance, but you also have angle, distance, curve, and tangent curve to choose from. Step 3, you want to actually enter in a direction. Now we're going to be giving these by bearings. You want to separate your degrees, minutes, and seconds with a dash. So the example there is north 0 degrees, 12 minutes, 39 seconds west. After that, you enter in your distance, and then click Add. And then you repeat that process until you've entered in all your courses and distance, and you've created the subdivision boundary shown on the left. Here's just a summary of those steps, and the result will be that subdivision boundary, and you could always go to the attribute table of that layer and double check those COGO data fields. Especially if you think you have some errors or there's some inconsistencies, you could always double check those fields and see if you can find anything. Finally, tutorial 4.5, georeferencing and tracing. The main objectives here are to rectify images, use drawing tools, and store COGO data. Now, georeferencing, I've also heard it known as rubber sheeting in CAD. The basic concept is you're going to take an image, you're going to select certain points, we're going to call them control points on that image, and you're going to link those to their actual counterpart, where they actually exist spatially. So for this tutorial, we're going to be setting control points using the Set Control Points button on the Georeferencing toolbar, and using the magnifier tool, we will set control points on that subdivision plat, and then we will link them to their actual counterpart where they exist on that boundary feature that we created in tutorial 4.4. Now, once you've set about 4 or 5 control points, preferably on the most extreme corners or outer edges, it will then georeference it and pretty much match it, stretch it, and translate it to where it needs to be. And after we have it translated and pretty much matching, we can use all the tools we've used before, tracing and the line tools, and we can trace those lots and blocks that are on the interior of that boundary. And once we have all those traced, we can use the Construct Polygon tool on the topology toolbar and convert those selected features into polygons. Now, this entire chapter has immensely helped me to learn the tools to create and edit features. Thank you.